How to fall in love with sales. Hey, what's up? This is Pete here. I want to bring this quick and simple video today because if you hate selling, and by the way, that's the most common statement that I hear from people. Pete, I know I need to sell in my business or my job, but I just hate sales. So today, if we can start the basics of how to move from this I hate selling to I love sales, then imagine how much better and how much more effective you're going to be. If you know this instinctively, whatever you enjoy doing, you're going to be far more effective at. Let's start right there, shall we? Selling on a basic level is a mindset, and it's a mindset shift. If you hate anything in life, the chances are you're going to resist it, you're not going to want to do it, and that's going to show up in your body language, in your tone of voice, how you come across with your client. Most people love what they do, and I'm talking about self-employed people. If you're employed in a job that you hate, that's for a different video, but most people do enjoy what they do. The problem they have is actually selling it. I did a video on how to build sales confidence a couple of days ago, so you can check that out as well, where I go into more depth about this. But let's focus on the topic of today. Imagine this scenario. You have a client in front of you and all you want to do is help them. And you go through the process of how you can improve their life or how you can improve their body. If you're a body transformation specialist, perhaps you can improve their business because you're a consultant. However, then you reach a point in the conversation with your client where you realize that, oh my goodness, for this to continue, there needs to be a transaction. So in other words, they need to pay in order for me to continue helping them. So this creates a huge amount of conflict in people's minds because they want to help people, but also they don't want to sell to them. They don't want to come across as pushy. Maybe you don't want to come across like you're a salesperson. The list goes on and on. I'm not going to try and convince you in this video that you need to become a salesperson. It's actually not what you want at all, because in 2020, it's much more about empathy than it is being a salesperson. Yes, you need to be a revenue generator. Yes, you need to ask effective questions. Yes, you need to make the sale, but it doesn't mean you need to sell your soul in order to sell successfully. In fact, you can sell very successfully by being yourself and being comfortable in the sales process. So let's look at a few more practical basics that you can implement right now in your career or your business to really feel more confident about selling and also to get to a point where you fall in love with sales. The first thing to know is that you sell with questions, not with answers. One of the big reasons why people feel uncomfortable selling is like talking about yourself, and you think to yourself, oh my goodness, I don't want to talk about myself. By the way, those people who don't mind talking about themselves, they're the ones that generally succeed quite quickly in sales because they have no issue sharing about the product, how it's going to help them, but also there's a limit with that as well. But I'll save that for yet another video. Right now though, bear in mind that it's not about talking at your client and convincing them that the product is right. That's one of the last things that you want to do, to be fair. In fact, the more you talk about your product, the less likely your client is going to want to buy it. Instead, what you want to do is ask questions that directly relate to your client's goals. Where do you see yourself in 6 months if you put some kind of solution in place? What are your biggest challenges right now? So you find out what is going on in their life. By asking questions that relate to either the goal or their current situation or how long they've been struggling with that problem for, you can keep your client focused. Now, you may have already experienced this, but one of the hardest things to do if we don't know how, and it's actually one of the easiest things to do when we know how, is to keep our client focused. You might only have 15 minutes for a consultation, or maybe you've got an hour. The time is irrelevant because if you're saying the wrong things in an hour, it doesn't matter how much time you have, but if you're saying the right things in 5 minutes, then that can convert into a high value sale. So it's not about the time you have in your consultation, it's much more about how you use that time. Keeping your client focused on their goal, keeping them focused on the challenges that they've been facing without having a solution in place. By doing this, you're staying on a clear path and a clear journey. Most of the time what we do is we don't have any clear direction with our client and we end up talking about random things, and before we know it, the client takes full control of the conversation, and now they're interviewing you and asking you all the questions, and you're on your back foot having to explain your product, having to explain and justify your solution. You're having to talk about all the reasons why you can help them, and that's an exhausting place to be in because now you've moved from the helping game and really understanding your client into the convincing game. If you're having to convince your client and they're interviewing you and they're asking you all the questions, my top tip here is to take a breath and from there simply ask a great question in return to your client to get the focus back on them. Remember, when your client is asking all the questions, they have control of the conversation. And on top of that, now you're in the convincing game. There is nothing wrong with a client asking questions. What's crucial though is that the balance of questions needs to be predominantly you as the professional asking great questions to your client. And the great thing about asking questions, it takes all the pressure off of you. You're simply asking questions. You're understanding more about that client. This is how we can start to move from hating sales to actually fall in love with the sales process. And the reason why questions work so well is quite simply because now you can lean into the whole fact you're there to improve your client's life. And when you ask questions, you start to understand them on a much deeper level. People buy when they have a deeper level of awareness than when they first met you. So what I mean by that is that, let's say for example, you sell body transformation. Maybe you're a personal trainer. The chances are your client is just thinking, oh, I want to book some PT sessions because I want to get in shape. However, if you as a personal trainer have a deep knowledge in the exact methods and the exact process that an individual needs to follow in order to reach their goals, you're able to ask questions that dig to the foundation of why your client's there and how your solution can help them. Now your client's desire and awareness are going to increase. So questions are a phenomenal way to engage your client more, to take the pressure off of you, and for you to move from hating sales into falling in love with the sales process. Yes, this is not a silver bullet solution. This is one video. There's loads of other videos I've shared where I go into more depth in all these different angles, how you can influence your client, how you can sell ethically and sell in a way that you feel calm and comfortable with, and sell in a way that feels good for your client and feels good for you. Ultimately, if you want to fall in love with selling, you must feel comfortable throughout the entire process. That's all I want to share for today's video. Lean into asking the right questions. Bear in mind you're there to help the person. You're not even there to sell them anything, because at the end of the day, if it's not right for them or they're not at the right time, then you wouldn't want that client in the first place, or you wouldn't want that individual to invest money on something they're going to regret later. You can establish all of this by having a great conversation with them and effectively helping your client to come to their own conclusion that, hey, actually, I do need to move forward with a solution. That's it for today. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.